Hello, my name is David Lyle, and in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about climate change in relation to the environment for my Sociology 100 weekly presentation. Currently, the Earth is warming at an alarming rate, such that it cannot be explained by natural processes. Most climate scientists agree that human activities are causing the Earth to warm at a rate faster than any times previous. It is estimated that if nothing is done to this very soon, then by 2050, there will be no going back. At the moment, we are losing around 12 to 15 species, plants and animals a day because they do not have the time to adapt to the constantly changing conditions. This can be detrimental to nature and society as they depend on us as much as we depend on them. So take bees, for example. If they go if they go extinct, then we are in the hole, for lack of a better term, because they're one of the biggest pollinators. If they stopped pollinating grass, for example, then cows and pigs would have nothing to eat, and therefore we would not have as much to eat. That is just one of the many examples of how climate change affects society. Before I jump into my presentation, I want to make a quick remark. Please think of the things you do and the things that you use and how you can how you can change the little things in your life so you can make a difference. For example, single-use plastics. If you're using plastic bags once, please think again. So thank you, and I'm going to now begin my presentation. So I want to start by giving a brief description of climate change and some descriptors. So climate change is the warming of our planet and the release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So greenhouse gases is C- um, carbon dioxide, methane gas. So this is caused by human activities, for example, burning of fossil fuels in cars, deforestation, and intensive agriculture. So farming with all those farm vehicles, etc. Um, so the extra gases that enter the atmosphere create an imbalance of greenhouse gases in the ozone layer, and therefore leads to the Earth warming up. So this is coined as the greenhouse gas effect, which is essential to human life, but has overwhelmed Earth on or life on Earth. So for my first article, I'm going to be talking about how climate change has made or is making summers longer and winters shorter. So some of the implications of this would be shorter winters and longer summers have bad implications for the environment and all the species that live in those environments. So for example, species that depend on winter and for camouflage, for food, whatever, they're gonna be struggling to adapt to their warmer summers, warmer times. For society, shorter winters makes winter-based businesses and activities not able to work anymore. So, for example, a ski mountain, they're going to lose all their revenue because there's not going to be any snow. Um, I'll quote: "The researchers have warned that if these trends continue without any effort to mitigate climate change by 2100, winter will last less than 2 months, and the transitional spring and autumn seasons will shrink further as well." So that's not really good. As a someone who likes snow, I don't really like to hear that. I really hope we can do something about this. For my second article, we're talking about how some U.S. homes and some places in the U.S. Uh, face high risk from climate change of flooding and other natural disasters. So also I'm going to be talking about some environmental and economic impacts. So some other impacts of climate change come in housing. So the increased chance of flooding from natural disasters. Some other effects on society would be loss of housing, infrastructure, and livelihood. So the flooding, which would destroy like a bridge or a house or someone's business, and that's just not good for them. The warming of our planet has direct effects not only on us but our environment too. So the recurrence of flooding and any natural disasters cause a lot of damage as we as a society take more time to fix this huge problem of global warming, more that these problems I have discussed in the articles will mean, and more economic and environmental effects will ensue. For example, in lower income neighborhoods, and I quote, Black homeowners in Chicago, for example, have complained about increased rainfall fueled by climate change, overwhelming the city's sewer system and causing flood damage to homes that didn't have the same flooding issues a decade ago, according to the Chicago Tribune. So, in this case, Chicago isn't really a city that's known for having lots of rain like us in Vancouver. But now, since the world is changing and people are getting different uh, different different weather in different parts of the world, it's just hard to combat. So now I'm going to give some more information about these two factors on environment and economy. So yeah, two of the biggest implications of climate change are how it affects the environment and the economy. So climate change affects the environment is the rapid changing of environmental conditions such that the organisms in it cannot adapt fast enough to the changing conditions. This is a problem for us humans in society because a lot of these organisms, such as bees, are beneficial for the function of society as we know it. I gave the example of bees earlier, but that's just one of many reasons that have effects. Another way that it can affect environment is the climate, the drastic weather and natural disasters such as a flood or a hurricane. In the articles I chose, there's two examples of climate change. Either the summers are getting longer and the winters are shorter, or obviously there's flooding. So there's plenty of economic effects that come from climate change and after these environmental problems occur. So for example, there are major amounts of property damage that happen, and this would happen have a lot of money that the government must put out. So next slide. So to continue on, as you can see, climate change has many detrimental effects on society and the wild. If nothing changes in the near future, then there will be nothing left of the world as we know it, or the world as we know it. If we want the generation after us to enjoy nature and wildlife like we got to, then we as a society and our generation need to do something to fix it. Take this image of a polar bear, for example. Um, the bear lives on ice its entire life, and it catches the food on ice. So when the ice melts, he's out of luck. I've never seen a bear in the wild, obviously, but that's how it should be. We want the wild to be wild and for them to live in their ways away from humans. We don't want our life to affect their wildlife. If all the ice melts and there's nothing for the bear to live on and he dies, we lose another species. I really want there to be a future where the wild is wild and it's not a hot commodity so rare that no one can find it. So, how can we potentially fix this problem? So, the government must declare it as an emergency, just like they did for World War II. They need to commit all the resources available because this is a very, very expensive thing that they need to do. They need to ban the use of fossil fuel vehicles and the sale of new gas cars. They also need to ban air conditioning and fracking that use fossil fuels. And we need to strive for an electric future. So Tesla and all the electric cars are the way of the future. So basically, we need to eliminate all fossil fuels and all unnecessary carbon that has gone into the environment. So here are my discussion questions. Do you know of any other problematic effects of climate change? How are some ways that you on a personal level or the government on a national level can fix this problem? And can you think of any other things that would be lost during shorter winters and longer summers? So that's my presentation. Thank you for listening. I hope that you learned something. Thank you.